I think that as eventers we are slightly unhinged. I don't know your thoughts on it, but I am not a morning person, and I do often get up fairly early, but it's a struggle. And then on eventing days, when my alarm goes off at 3 a.m, I get straight up. So hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. The birds are chirping, it is brightening up. It actually looks fairly light on the screen on my phone. It's not that light yet. It's 4 a.m. I got up at 3 so I could have a shower, and like I said, we're going eventing. We're taking Donut off to Catton Park horse trials this morning. We are in the novice class and I have my dressage test at 6 minutes past 9. So that should be entertaining. So I'm just getting down to the field to do morning checks on the horses and grab Donnie in for his breakfast.
There's a new day that will come again tomorrow.
To give Maxie
There's a new day
medicine
to wash away the pain. There's a new day to take away your sorrow. And the old ways get washed out by the rain.
Did have some good girl.
Darling, you've got to keep holding on through the night, 'cause I promise you this: if you try to get some sleep, if you give up the fight, if only just for a bit, there's a new day to leave behind your troubles. There's a new day and it will set you free. There's a new day to get you through your struggles. I will always think of you and me. Darling, you've got to keep holding on through the night, 'cause I promise you this: if you try to get some sleep, if you give up the fight, if only just for a bit, there's a new day, it is waiting for us. There's a new day waiting round the bend. There's a new day and it will restore us. There'll be new ways. This is not the end.
Oh, we made it here. Finally, eventually. God, we've had the most horrific drive. We normally just follow the lorry sat nav in, and then that took us to the bridge that Mum and I think we usually go over, but they seem to have made it narrower, and they put a load of bollards out to warn us that it was narrower, and both of us looked at it and went, we're not going over that. So then I pulled up the directions for stuff over 7.5 ton, because I thought, well, that'll be comfortable. Had to go all the way back up the main road, and it probably added 40 minutes on. It was real old. Still ended up coming over a 7.5 ton bridge, which is fine for us, but yeah, not a pleasant drive. Anyway, we are here. I'm actually stood at quite a nice bit, although you can't particularly see. Sorry, it's not the most flattering angle. I've got water splattered up my leg because they must have had tons and tons and tons of rain last night. So the car park had loads of standing water on it, and here I'm just biking through standing water as well at points. I'm about to do the trudge up the hill. It's quite a hard bike. And yeah, I'm course walking. I'm going to voice over it because it's been a slightly stressful morning trying to do navigation. I'm not the best at navigating as it is, and then I was like, I don't know where we're going. So yeah, so far I'm at fence 4. The course looks quite nice. You can see it behind me. That's the intermediate one. That's my one over there, the novice one. Up the step, and then ran, there's a little fence in the trees. Then we go off up the hill. But anyway, you'll see that on the course walk. And I'm going to whiz around as quick as I can. I don't even have time to do any minute markers because it took us a whole extra 50 minutes to get here. So just a 2-stride double on the angle here. This fence caused a lot of trouble last year, but it looks like they've changed the profile of it by adding a big log as a ground line and getting rid of the Christmas trees that they had under it last year. For a minute, I'm relatively fit, but that hill's just killed me off. It's really, really steep. Let's get the bike going now because my legs have just died. There we go. Right, that fence behind me. And I think we turn and jump this horrible fence downhill. It scared me last year. Okay, this is why it scared me last year. I'm not crouching down in any frame. Look, not crouching. It is shoulder height on me. Obviously, the point where you take off, it must measure in as a metre 10. The point where you land, it definitely doesn't. So here it's not so bad. It's, just be brave. Okay, so then it's quite a steep run continuing down the hill to a drop fence, then a curving line to what I would say would be Donut's first ever proper big boy triple brush. But you know me, I don't linger on the stuff that looks scary, so we went past it fairly quick. And the boxes we didn't linger on either. And then we came to these 2 new open corners, and they were pretty beefy, but I was expecting them to ride quite well. They looked fairly inviting when I walked them, but as you can see, they're proper open corners and they're quite wide and a lot to see. But as you're walking at them, you don't really realise they're a corner. You could think they were an oxer, and that's what you've got to kind of think when you're walking the course. What would the horse's first inspection of the fences be? So I was hoping that they would ride okay. And then there was this trachena, which I felt like, you know, you're going into a woods with lots of trees, so there's lots to look at. So it was just to bear that in mind more than the ditch. Then a nice skinny house, which is setting you up for the water with some rails, but a bit of land afterwards before the water, and then a skinny upright rail on the way out. Then we went across with a bit of a gallop, and then we came to this hollow. Looks like you're really going to land in the middle of nowhere with that bit of air beneath it, but actually you do have a bit of ground to go down, me nearly falling off the bike there. Then a slope up and an upright rail, but you'd probably just ride forwards and hopefully meet that on quite a nice travelling stride. And then here you can see a bit of the undulation, and we've got a nice hill to ride back down, and then we've got a just a fairly straightforward house, which is nice, and I think it's fairly straightforward home after that. Look at that standing water. It wasn't the greatest. I'd been quite shocked, actually. I hadn't been expecting the ground to be quite as waterlogged as it was, because we hadn't had any warning. Then just slightly angled brush to jump on the way home to slow us down, and then a very straightforward last fence. So I felt like, you know, your big questions came quite early on in the course, and I was hoping it would be a good galloping course, but for the fact that it was so wet. Right then, Donny is platted, and I've done his quarter marks. I just need to tack him up. I've just got changed. He's got his studs in. I'm not going to be awfully chatty today because I'm a bit nervous. And actually the course is nicer, probably nicer than both Aston and Little Downham. But it's just got a few elements in it that I don't know if you'd describe them as rider frighteners or just Evie frighteners. So I'm sure Donny will jump them fine, but until I've gone and jumped them, I'm a little bit nervous. So, but it's good to have nerves. It means that we care, and that we're not start raving mad, jumping down to these crazy big jumps sometimes. So we'll just keep on going, but that means I probably won't be giving you any debriefs after I've show jumped. I doubt it. See how I feel once I've show jumped. I might feel better then. But we'll see. So dressage, I need to get on in about 10 minutes, and I'll probably chat to you once we've done all 3 phases.
She goes her own way, like I don't give a damn girl. And my God, she owns it. So many heartbreaks, goes back to 2014, and I think that she knows it. And if you've seen her, I know that you would believe it, 'cause I know that you'd want her to. Yeah, I do. Everyone's taking their shot, but missing out on the cut. I think she knows that. She drives them crazy when she's looking like that. The way she's moving makes them want it so bad. It's the attention that we wish that we had. Yeah, it's almost cruel, 'cause I want her to. Oh yeah, I'm running in circles just to make her react. My heart is racing, yeah, I want her so bad. I wanna kiss her, but I know for a fact that she's way too cool. But I want her to. Oh yeah.
Was that a puddle?
Okay, I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to quickly chat through with you what I'm working on. So I went and had a dressage lesson with Amy Woodhead the Tuesday before this, and she was being very specific on what I needed to work on, and a huge amount of it was my position. So I needed to get my shoulders back, my hips underneath me more, my heels down, my elbows bent, and have my hands sort of both sides of his neck. So that's what I was working on. She wanted him in a sort of more down and softer frame where he was able to release within his wither. And then when it came to getting ready for the canter, I don't know if you just noticed, I did a bit of sitting trot. So she said I need to be able to do sitting trot and sit there without him hollowing before I ask him to canter, because otherwise he's not even through enough for me to do sitting trot. And you can see his canter transitions are already improving. Now, obviously, for novice, this frame is a bit too long, but there's an element of you need to be building up the muscle beforehand in order to have it there before you pick them back up. So we've kind of gone a few steps back, but I think we're now hopefully heading down the right route of being able to get him to soften over his back. You can see he's still a bit tense because he's at a show and whatever, and I can do my sitting trot, and then he's doing a nice round transition to canter, which is good. But he's more tense than he was in his lesson, more tense than he is at home, because, you know, he's out and he's competing. But if we start building up these muscles where he's able to sort of be rounder and more released in the wither, that's going to be better and the work's really going to start improving, and I can finally get my leg on him, which is a vast improvement. It really makes a difference. And there we just fell out of it, and you know, it's definitely not the finished article, but I'm not being funny. The way I was riding him before wasn't the finished article either, and it wasn't really serving the purpose. So you can see it's starting to look a lot better there. He's forward and flowing a lot more, and he's able to step through from behind, and I was much happier. Everything's feeling a bit alien to me. He's quite a big boy, and his nose feels a long way away with sort of riding him like this, but I will get used to that, and you can see he can cope with me sitting for quite a bit longer. Wasn't quite off my aids there in that transition to canter, but we'll get there. And I think I just kept on working and tweaking it through, and just until we get it, because it's just finding what the new normal is there, and we're not going to change everything with one lesson and a few schooling sessions at home. It's not enough. But I was just a bit like, well, I'm just going to start a semi to go on. I've also got him in a new bit, which I can talk to you more about later, but it's a Sprengel one. I had a bitting consultation over the phone with Lindsay, who's the UK Sprenger expert, and I do feel like he's going a lot better in the bit as well. So it feels like hopefully we've kind of changed two things, and it won't be an absolute instant change, but I would like to hope that you're seeing a little bit of the benefit of it already, and we'll just keep on working on, and then hopefully by the end of the season our dressage will look greatly improved. And of course I'll go for more lessons as well as time goes on, but we're definitely getting there, and I feel like you're just getting glimpses. And for me, the fact that I can keep my legs on him and actually get him round, because I think I mentioned in my last video, oops, just made a little mistake there with the canter trot canter, but that's okay. I think I mentioned in my other video, it never felt like we were truly round and through, and whereas now I actually feel like I can put my legs on and I can ask him to come down and I can ask him to come up in his belly, and maybe we're not got it all the time, but at least we're getting it sometimes now, which is great. Anyway, time to go in. I obviously worked him a little bit more before I went in after those mistakes with the canter transitions, but Mum didn't catch it on video. I've just left all the footage quite raw today, so you can see as much as you like. And as you see, as I was going around the edge of the arena, I was doing some trot walk trots just to make sure that he was active and engaged in the hind leg as he stepped down into walk. And then I've changed the rein, ready to go down the centre line. And I think he's looking pretty good in his frame, and I'm constantly thinking shoulders back, hands either side of his neck, weight in your heels, thumbs on top, fingers closed round reins, trying to really work on how I'm sitting. And he did a very nice straight centre line, and I think that frame is looking really great. This is the first time he's done this test, but I have actually ridden it a few times on Maggie, so I'm starting to get a bit more experience riding these Novice B tests. I'm really sorry I don't have my dressage test to read out to you guys, because I withdrew basically, and I withdrew before the class finished, so I didn't think I'd be able to get my test, so I can't tell you what my scores were. Coming around here, leg yield after you've passed the EB line, and I thought that was quite a nice leg yield. We could have possibly had a bit more angle on it, but it's very sweet, and he didn't hollow. He stayed fairly consistent in his positioning. Then we come across for a medium trot, and he certainly does lengthen his strides, but at a guess, I would suggest that the judge probably wanted to see more difference. I would also guess, I don't know for sure, I would guess that the judge probably wanted him in a more up frame, because that's what you should have by this stage of your dressage. But of course, I've actively made this decision to take a few steps back, and I'm quite happy to lose a few marks with that while we make these corrections. Free walk on a long rein was good, possibly could have done a bit more stretch, but he was flowing. And notice we had no jogging, he stayed relaxed, and I think that's because he's working in a way that he is much happier to work in, which I'm really chuffed with. Good transition up to trot. I would happily give myself a 7 for that, but I'm not a judge, so who knows. 15-meter circle here. I think it's a fairly good shape. He's got consistent bend. He's consistent in his contact. He's consistent in his rhythm, which is good. I'm pleased with. And then we come round and we're going to repeat the moves on this way. So we'll ride down the 3/4 line till the EB line. And then once we pass that, I will leg yield to the left to H. So here we go. We do our leg yield. You can't really see whether we're crossing over, but he comes across very easily. Then between A and whatever the corner marker is, it's a canter transition. Our right canter transition isn't as strong as our left, but it's certainly a vast improvement on Little Downham. Half 20-meter circle and show some lengthened strides. It did lengthen, but again, probably not showing enough difference. But with all the changes I'm trying to make, I was finding it quite hard to sort of maintain the balance and look after all the bits and bobs there. So then on the diagonal we have to do a canter trot canter, which I felt he did really well, but I probably did too many steps of trot. But I'd rather do that and have a good upwards transition and find the balance in between, showing more lengthening this way, than sort of rush it and then have a poor upwards transition. And then you have to canter down the centre line, which I think is quite a hard move, and he actually did it really nicely. Trot at X and halt at G, and we got 32 for this, which is a 5% improvement on Little Downham. So I was chuffed as anything with him. What a good boy.
Tattoos on both her ankles, 21 pilot t-shirt. Goddamn, she's so fly. Knows how to write a good song, at least better than this. 'Cause if you've seen her, I know that you will believe it. 'Cause I know that you want her to.
Blue. First 6th time. A total of 18.
But you'll be missing the cut. I think she knows
2.5.
that. She drives him crazy when she's looking like that. The way she's moving makes him want it so bad. Gets the attention that we wish that we had. Yeah, it's almost cruel, 'cause I want her to. Oh, in circles just to make her react. My heart is racing, yeah, I want her so bad. I wanna kiss her, but I know for a fact that she's way too cool. But I want her to. Everyone's taking their shot, showing all that they got, but they'll be missing the cut. I think she knows that. She drives him crazy when she's looking like that. The way she's moving makes him want it so bad. Gets the attention that we wish that we had. Yeah, it's almost cruel, 'cause I want her to. Oh yeah, running in circles just to make her react. My heart is racing, yeah, I want her so bad. I wanna kiss her, but I know for a fact that she's way too cool. But I want her to.
Oh dear, I just popped to the cross country to have a look at the ground. The ground is mortifying in the show jumping, and there's cross country's causing carnage, and I don't know if that's going to give us a confidence giving run, so I'm just going to watch a couple down where I've been told it's causing trouble, and then see how they go and make a decision as to whether I go or not. Just checking in, guys, back from my secondary course inspection, and I don't know how well you can see it on there, Can't see very well. Here. Can see a bit better. We are pouring with rain. And my statistics assistant says...
No, not going.
To be fair, I actually withdrew before I got back here. I withdrew on my way back. I'd made the decision. The only way I'd have gone cross country today is if I'd jumped fence 1 to 5 and then pulled up and retired, just because it was super boggy where the course started to get tough and you started having to run downhill. And I've watched the professionals manage to do it, and I've also seen a lot of trouble, and it's just not worth risking him, is it?
Not when 35% have been eliminated and there's only 20 gone.
Yeah. What's 35% out of 20?
7.
So 7 out of 20 have been eliminated. We're not doing it. He's a good boy. He tries so hard, and he wasn't loving the ground in the show jumping, and he still carried on. Yeah, he still carried on trying, and the worry isn't about him stopping, to be fair. It's more about if the ground just goes underneath him, because the girl next to us in the lorry, I asked her opinion, and she said fence 7 was causing trouble, so she trotted off the drop and then swung wide and then picked up the canter to go jump the triple brush, and our horse's back end just completely went underneath it. And we don't need that, do we, Janie? We don't need that in our life, so we shall save him for another day. He's a very good boy. I put him on all tacked up just so I could go check the course and make an assessment for myself, but as you can hear with the rain, we're not playing. I have. So yeah, I do this for fun, and going out in boggy ground where horses that are completing looking really quite tired and clipping the last few fences, and horses that aren't completing are getting eliminated so early on. I was just thinking, nah, you're too precious, aren't you, gorgeous boy? So I'm gonna get him untacked. I think we're going to get something to eat, and then we've got to figure out how to get out of here. I think we might have to go find a tractor because the ground isn't improving. You are good boy. Oh, and takeaways for the day. I thought we tried very hard in the show jumping. We just got crap ground and crap warm up for the ground, and just not great, and one of those things. But he did try very hard. And dressage, I think that one lesson is paying off, and I'm excited to have my next lesson because everything's feeling a little bit alien because I'm sort of changing habits that I've formed, so it's all a little bit different. But actually, even with me having to actively think about stuff, he was so much more relaxed, and we can just build on that and start lifting him and improving him as his muscles build up and as my muscle memory builds up. So yeah, actually a very good day. The event can't help the ground. The course is beautiful, and on a Molly, one of my friends has just been eliminated cross country, and she is experienced riding at 2-star. She's been riding at 2-star for at least the last 2 seasons, if not 3 seasons. I'm going to try and catch her. Anyway, good day for us. Nothing that the course designers could have done any different. It was a good course. It's just the great British weather this year. It's an absolute nightmare. Anyway, I'm off to go find Molly and untack Dana.
The home run hound water.
I knew we had absolutely no hope of getting out without getting stuck from where we were parked. There was an absolute bog to try and drive through. So I went and found a tractor, and we turned around and just waited for them to come and hitch us up. So we never actually got stuck, but we weren't going to survive trying to get out on our own steam. So the very lovely tractor drivers came and took us, escorted us out to the road, and we gave them a nice tip to say thank you very much. We are home, and Donny is having his food that he wouldn't eat earlier, and a little bit extra, and it's glorious sunshine now, of course. We had an interesting drive home. Someone ran into us as we exited Catton. Luckily, I can't see any other damage on the lorry, but it's certainly interesting attempting to drive home with no driver's side wing mirror, isn't it, Mum?
Don't.
So we've been doing an extreme trust exercise whereby, because we've rung the police and called it in and whatever, and they were like, oh, just drive carefully home. That's all fine and good. In a car, you can use your rear view mirror and your windows. In a lorry, you can't see a friggin' thing. So we've been doing an extreme trust exercise where whenever there's a slip road, I dove back into the living, and then I was sat on the worktop in the back of the living, was sticking my head out the window and then having to shout to Mum when it was clear to get on the slip road. So she was, bless her, she was having to drive onto the slip road blind, which just isn't nice. So no, we'll have to replace that, because I have put a call out online to ask if the person who's driven into us would come forward, but I really doubt they will, so we'll be replacing the wind mirror, I expect. Oh well, at least it wasn't anything else and no one was hurt. One of those things, I suppose. And we've all got home safely, so it's fine. Anyway, very relieved that I withdrew Mr. Man, because I can't remember what the exact rate was, but there was 42 people in my section and 9 people completed. So the rest of the 42 either withdrew like I did, or got eliminated or retired. So yeah, not the best statistics going on. It would have been a really nice course to ride around had the ground been good, but it wasn't. And I'm not about to risk my precious boy when I don't think it's safe. So yeah, we've lived to fight another day. And I think that's that. You may have noticed that I am wearing a Keyflow gilet, and I've got a new Keyflow saddle pad, and I actually have a new Keyflow base layer as well, but we didn't get to style that. Oh, sorry, I've got to turn around. Here we go. So it's very smart. Quite like it. So now I am officially a Keyflow brand ambassador, and I think that's really cool, because I don't know, it's not going to change anything I do, because I've already sung Keyflow's praises plenty of times. If you've been following me for a while, you'll know that. I really rate their feeding system. Personally, I think it makes sense, and I get really good advice from their nutritionists, and my horses seem to be super on it. So it won't change that, because I've been saying that for a very long time. I've been feeding Keyflow feed since 2016, so just over, I think I started in February 2016, so over 8 years now. So I'd say I was already a brand ambassador, but very nice to be officially a brand ambassador. Yeah, so I've got a little bit of clothing to wear. Anyway, that was just a side note. The big thing, the big takeaway was Donut was amazing in the dressage. 1 dressage lesson, and we're starting to get back on track. So I'm really chuffed with that. We're going to keep up with those more. Really chuffed with the show jumping. Think that fence 1 and 2, Mum and I were analysing it on the way home in between the extreme trust exercise, and we both think that he just wasn't really warmed up enough down to 1 and 2, but the warm-up was even worse than the actual show jumping, so no one was jumping bigger than about 95 in the warm-up, and he probably hadn't calibrated his height. And I was also made to circle a lot beforehand, so he just sort of pelted down the line 1 to 2. So I'm dismissing those coming down, and then the rest was him managing in poor ground conditions, and I actually think he did a really good job, so I was chuffed with that. And I'm sure he would have flown around the cross country, but I wasn't about to risk it on that ground. So overall, again, another really good progressive run, and we're just going to go make a plan for what we're going to do for July, because I haven't actually made any decisions on what I'm doing in July, and that's my only event in June. So we're on to a little bit of a slow period, mid-season lull, before we kick off again in August. So I hope you've enjoyed the vlog, and if you did, do make sure that you're subscribed to us so that you know when I've posted things, and please make sure to comment, and I'm sure I will catch up with you soon. Bye.